Welcome to Meliora's channel, your go-to place for C# and data analysis tutorials, products hands-on demos, and insider secrets to keep you at the cutting edge of innovation. Our goal is to break down complex tech topics to a level that you will easily understand to supercharge your skills. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Hello and welcome back to Meliora's channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the journey to ERP implementation. And in that journey, we'll be reviewing what we have called the automation ladder. The automation ladder provides a set of steps that every organization intending to implement ERP will have to go through in order to ensure successful implementation. So at the very base of this ladder is the business process. So the business process you have to get the business process right. Because that's what this essentially means, that you have to get the business process right in order before ever you start thinking of even implementing ERP. So for you, the starting point for that thought around implementation of ERP will be for you to get your business processes right. And getting the business processes right means having the business processes clearly defined, documented, and shared across the organization, especially shared to users or to members of the organization who will be playing a role in the execution of this process, so that they have complete understanding, especially end-to-end understanding of that business process and their role within the business process. And once you have gotten the business process right, the next thing you need to get right is the master data. So you need to be clear about what master data you need in order to execute the business processes that that are in scope for your implementation. So the master data that you need to drive the implementation of these business processes will need to be clearly defined, and also the details around the governance around that master data should also be clearly defined. Who owns each master data element, for instance, needs to be clear. Who consumes each master data element, for instance, needs to be clear. Who can make changes to existing master data elements, for instance, needs to be clear. Who can introduce new master data element into this pool of master data, for instance, needs to be clear. So that data governance needs to clearly specify all this. And once you have this clearly defined, it means you have gotten this right. And therefore, you are incrementally getting ready for ERP implementation. So when you have your master data right, and you have your when you have your business processes right, when you've gotten your business processes right, and you've also gotten your master data right, then the next thing in typical organizations is that with these two clearly defined, then it will drive automation. And that first brand of automation that it usually drives are just a plethora of business applications. So several business applications taking care of or addressing different needs or issues within the business processes. So, and that means that each application will have some elements of this master data and then some elements of these business processes, and it will just be addressing those elements that were the purpose for which the application is built. And what you then have is quite a number of applications. If you recall, in our overview video, we discussed the fact that, yes, indeed, every department would in most cases have applications working independently but addressing specific problems within the set of business processes which they execute. So in the end, each department will have several applications they use to manage their work activity. But the key issue there is that most of these applications do not have any form of integration. So that within the department, there is no internal integration within the department, and across the departments, there is also no external integration. And that's the real issue this will have. So you have a plethora of applications, but each is self-contained. They don't talk to each other in any form. They don't integrate with each other in any form. And that's typical of a lot of organizations, at this stage. So they have the business process right, they have the master data right, but they are now implementing different or a plethora of business applications that utilize the master data and the business processes to solve just the specific problems. So, but when at this stage, when your organization is at this stage, then the next level, most of the time, is to now engage in what is usually called the business applications consolidation. So you want to consolidate all these business applications into a single huge or large application, which will then be able to do pretty much most, if not all, that the different applications down here were doing for you. So you have that single large application that integrates the data at the database level and integrates the functionality also at the functionality level. So that big application, a lot of time, is actually an ERP system. So the implementation of the first ERP system is usually that consolidation initiative, and is usually as a result of that consolidation, application consolidation initiative. And then you have that implementation that now brings in the first version of ERP in the organization, if you like. Now, having implemented this, then gradually the organization would now start improving that ERP, the implemented ERP solution, and you improve it by strengthening the strategic integration, strategic integration. So, and you start by looking at internal integration. So, all the modules that you have selected that covers all the business applications that you consolidated, then you now ensure that all internal integrations within those modules are configured and are now working, configured properly and are working as expected. And then all the module-to-module integration, which are also considered internal, should also be reviewed and ensured that they are configured properly, so that within the ERP, that internal integration will be embedded. So once you have that internal integration fully embedded in your ERP implementation or your ERP solution, then you will now move to the next level. So, and that next level for the organization is now to also extend integration to cover external data. So now at this level, you're looking at strategic, internal, and external integration. And the way it is usually done is that you have a different platform or solution within the ERP suite of applications within the ERP tool. And that application is usually about business intelligence. So some ERP call it business intelligence, some ERP call it other names. But the key is that it is about business intelligence, and it usually happens in such a way that it it enables you to extract information from the ERP, the implemented ERP solution, and then extract information from any other application or any other sources of relevance. So, for instance, the business applications that were not part of this consolidated business application, so the few business applications that were left to operate as standalone applications within the business, within the organization, for whatever reason. Sometimes it's for the reasons of just ensuring that you find you're ensuring that you have something unique about your organization. Or a lot of organizations want to differentiate themselves by ensuring that the core processes of the core business processes for that organization, they create a proprietary solution to ensure that they remain on top of the competition. So such systems that are proprietary in nature, that are not part of this consolidation effort, you can now you can now integrate with those applications through external integration. And what usually happens is you extract data from the ERP and then also extract data from such applications, and then you transform that data, go through some transformation activities, and then eventually pull those data into what is usually called a data warehouse. And from the data warehouse, all those integrated data were extracted and the transformed data will be available for mining out of intelligence. So for mining intelligence out of that pool of data. So you can have as outcome things like dashboards of key performance indicators. You can also do some predictive analysis. You can also do some historical analysis. You can do all sorts once you have been able to pull those data inside the data warehouse at this business intelligence step. So when you have this step done, it now means the organization's maturity with respect to automation and data especially has really become very high, because you have enormous information here, enormous data here that is actually used to drive decisions in the organization. And so at this level, information or data has become an asset for the organization. It's no longer business as usual, because the organization will become more and more reliant on information mined out of the data, or intelligence mined out of the data that exists in this pool, for proper decision taking, for proper running of the organization. And if that is the case, then this has become an asset, a very important asset for the organization. So, and there's an important asset. You now need to protect it more. You need to invest to protect this access, to control how people actually gain access to them, and to ensure that this the value of this access is not destroyed accidentally. So the organization needs to create a major application security level, and which is what this step is about in our ladder. So in our ladder, the application security step is now ensuring that you do continue to have the authentication, which is your usual username and password kind of login. But beyond that, you also have to have authorization level. So the authorization is now about having rules that when someone has been authenticated, when a user has been authenticated and now gains access to the system, the user will only see things that the rule assigned to him will allow him to see. So, and the user can be assigned multiple rules. So, but any rule that has been assigned to the user, whatever that rule authorizes that the user should see, is what the user will then start seeing. But also very important is the fact that it equally ensures that if someone has been given a set of rules that will now enable him or her perform certain activities in the system, and these activities generate segregation of duties conflict, the system will flag it and now say, no, you can't give these roles to this individual, because if you do, then it will create a conflict with respect to segregation of duty, which could lead to a significant exposure for the organization. So what you then do in that case is that you remove some of the rules. In some cases, you can run an analysis, and then that analysis will tell you the rules that are responsible for those conflicts, the combination of rules that are responsible for those conflicts, and probably the ones you need to take out in order to address the segregation of duties issue. So you can take this security, application security level, gives you that level of control in terms of managing access to the system or managing access risks generally. So now, if you also give somebody access, because access that is called sensitive, access that allows that person to perform sensitive transactions, then you will also assign a specific role to enable the person to have those sensitive to have access to those sensitive transactions or sensitive rules. So when those rules that are flagged as sensitive are assigned to a user, then what also happens is that the system would note it, and then a greater level of tracking on the user will be switched on, so that everything the user does on the system will be tracked, because that user is using a sensitive rule. So it tries to ensure that he knows exactly what the individual is doing, and if anything goes wrong, people should be able to trace that to the person who was doing those activities with a sensitive rule. So sometimes also the sensitive rule is structured in such a way that you can actually tell the system what this user that is being given a sensitive rule will do with it. So if you say the person being assigned the sensitive rule would execute transaction A, transaction B, transaction C with this sensitive rule, then the system notes it that yes, we are granting the sensitive rule to this user, and it is for the purpose of executing transaction A, transaction B, transaction C. Now, if the person now logs on with that sensitive rule and now starts executing transactions, and suddenly it now executes transaction E, which was not in the original list of what the individual said he or she would do, then the system will equally flag it that, oh, this guy had said it will only need this sensitive rule to do A, B, C, but now it's actually doing E. So, and it flags it to the relevant authority, who will then call that person to order for proper explanation. And if indeed is a fraudulent activity, then they will handle it according to the policies, internal policies of the organization, how such cases will be handled. But if it is indeed that the person genuinely requires that, they could also advise that he goes back to re-request and now include that scope of activities that he or she wants to perform in the list of things that will be done using that sensitive rule. So it really manages, at this point, you're really managing security in a very effective and efficient manner. So this also would include governance risks, and which you use to manage the policies of the organization, and then the risks, the risk register of the organization, and then also the control framework generally for the organization. So this is application security is actually key. Once you have started, you have matured, or your organization has matured to the level of recognizing data or information as a significant asset for the company. And once this security is done, this step is taken care of, then the rest are just incorporation of a lot of the modern tools or the trending technologies that exist at this moment, which some of them you may have already adopted somewhere earlier. For instance, if you're implementing ERP, you're likely to have adopted a cloud implementation rather than on-premise. On-premise would demand a lot more resources on ground infrastructure, and then a lot more challenges around ensuring you have the people, the human resources that has the knowledge to manage the local networks that you have to put in place, and then the local infrastructure that you have to put in place. Cloud takes out all those from you and replaces it with just maybe some sort of service level agreement with respect to the performance that the service providers, the cloud service providers, will guarantee to deliver to you. So the other stuffs, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, OT, IT integration, the trending topics, the trending technology tools, topics that you may just be interested in ensuring that you implement in order to make sure that your system is actually top notch. Your ERP implementation is actually top notch. So here is really the end of the automation ladder. Once you're here, you know you have ERP implementation that is world class, essentially. So, but like I mentioned, some of these elements you may have actually started introducing somewhere lower, at the lower stages of the ladder. So with this, we pretty much have covered all that we need to cover on this video. So for you to implement ERP in your organization, you need to do a couple of things as specified in this ladder. You first need to get your business processes right. Then you get your master data right. Then on the basis of the processes and the master data, a lot of applications could have been built in your organization, focusing on addressing different kinds of issues. And then the first ERP version implementation would actually be a consolidation, application consolidation initiative. So you consolidate a number of these disparate applications that have been implemented into one huge application, which is usually referred to as ERP. And then that first version, you now start improving by including internal integration, and then further improve by including internal and external integration into a data warehousing platform. You bring in a business intelligence solution that will then enable you to mine out information or intelligence out of the huge mass of data that you would have accumulated over time in the data warehouse. So with that ability to mine out intelligence, then it will enable the organization to take more informed decision and data-driven decision that is actually driven by the data that is generated from the business facts in the organization. So with that, once you are at that maturity level, you now know that your organization's asset is key, is critical to your operations, and the security becomes a lot more serious around this data. So you then have a more detailed security approach or framework for ensuring the safety of your data assets. And that is it about this video. So we thank you for watching, and we plead that you subscribe and you comment, and you also like this video. Doing that would do a couple of things for us. It will first of all encourage us to continue to create content like this for you, but more importantly, it will also enable others to actually see this video and equally gain from the knowledge we have shared here. So thank you very much as you subscribe if you've not done that already, and then also Through the comments, you can also let us know the topics you would like us to handle in our next videos. So looking forward to seeing your comments and likes, and then also looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you and bye for now. Thank you for watching, and if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, be sure to show us support by clicking like and subscribe. Your support helps us to bring you even better content, so stay tuned for the next exciting video. You can also click the link below to see other free and paid videos on other exciting topics. If the click did not work, kindly copy the link and paste on your browser. Thank you and see you in the next video.